Ah, yes. The Evergrande crisis. I'm sure you guys have been hearing about it. So, gonna explain a few things, go into some details here. When I lived in China, I lived in Guangzhou, which is where they have a huge stadium, sports stadium there. This company does. Second largest real estate company in China. Big deal. They have, of course, had some trouble paying even the interest payments to their debtors. Just the interest payments, which is not a good thing, because if they can't even pay the interest, then they can't pay the whole loan, that's for sure. Which means that, as those of you that know, people like me and Serpent ZA and Lawa 86, we've been talking about this for years. How China's economy is overly stacked in real estate, insanely overly indebted into real estate that could never be sold. It's impossible. To put things into, to give examples, I have a few here. These are my personal experiences. I like to share my personal experiences. There was a time where my wife and I, we kind of wanted to start a business, and it was a business that required some office space. And we went into so in Guangzhou, you of course have different districts. We went to what I would say is the third most popular district, but the most popular area in that district. Somewhere with millions of people, keep in mind. Thousands of people walking up and down the streets every single day, lots of businesses, super busy. We go into the office building to look at offices, and we quickly realize that about 80% of the maybe even more, maybe 85, 90% of the building. Keep in mind, this is a big damn building. You're talking about a 50, 60 story tall building. And probably 80% of the offices in this thing are vacant. Think about that. You have this 60 story tall building where probably 80 to 90% of the offices are vacant. Probably not a good thing, right? And so we questioned, we're like, why are so many of the rooms vacant? Is there problems with electricity? Problems with water? What's the issue? Of course, the real estate agent was like, well, this is normal. And so we were kind of, me as an American, I was skeptical. I was like, something must be wrong. We went to 3 or 4 other places in Guangzhou. They were all the same. It's just evidence that China does this weird thing where it builds and builds and builds and just debt and debt and debt and builds and debt in an effort to raise the value of its land, because the land that has nothing on it is not super valuable. So they want to put buildings and homes and stuff on this land to raise the overall GDP of their country, so that they can make it appear richer than it really is, right? And it was the same thing with residential. We owned I'm like dying in my car here. We owned our apartment in China. It's not easy to do. A lot of times you have help from in my case, my wife's family. Because when you talk about buying a home in Guangzhou, you're talking about $1 million home, okay? Like $1 million apartment for a not so big apartment. So you have Evergrande, a company that's developing all of these properties and, you know, commercial and residential and all this type of stuff. And nobody in China can afford this stuff, man. Chinese people can't afford these houses. The Chinese companies are not filling up all these office spaces. It's not happening. It's just not happening. It's not going to happen. And then recently with COVID, months and months and months of people not making their payments, which let's be honest here. Let's be perfectly honest. I've seen a lot of people in China that literally purchase properties and lose money just with the idea that in the long term they'll own the property, and they're under the assumption that the equity will outgrow the depreciation of the property. And the problem with that in China is that the rate of inflation is like freaking insane on real estate, because again, they continue to build new real estate right across the street. And now the world is afraid that Evergrande here, this company in China, is the sell-off of real estate in the world. But again, the Chinese government has said that it will step in, which is the stupidest thing ever. Our same government the American government has made the same mistakes in stepping into some failing industries when it shouldn't have. They should have been allowed to fail, and so that something new and better could come along and things could be fixed. Of course, the Chinese government's not going to allow that. So that's basically the Evergrande situation. My experience is buying a home and seeing these overly inflated prices that even me as a foreigner in China making 10 times what the average Chinese person makes, the cost was still outrageous. Really looking at offices and realizing that 80% of them are probably just buildings with nothing in them. It's all fake. The real estate market in China is fake. It's bullshit. It's just not real. It's just not real. This is not a world problem, in my opinion. This is a problem that China has yet to tackle, that China has had for a long time, that it simply never took care of. But perhaps soon it will be forced to take care of it. And I hope they do, because that's what's actually better for the Chinese people, is for this type of thing to quit happening. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.